Welcome everyone to the Employability session of this. We have got join us today Paul, Dan and Trudy's managed to make it as well. So there's the three of us who will be doing employability. You'll hear from them all, looking at the different skills you might want to be thinking about to improve yourself going forwards in your future careers. And please note, we do have a live Q&A chat, so please use that throughout the session, where at the end we'll ask three presenters for different questions. Over to you, Paul.
Well, good morning, students, and welcome. It's great to be speaking to you. And I'm going to speak for a short while on some success factors at work, success factors in life. And the first thing I would say to you is this: the opportunities for you today to go on and have a successful career, enjoy an enjoyable career, a varied career, to do really interesting things, to be successful, to earn a lot of money, to travel, to see the world, are unparalleled. They're fantastic. If you're prepared to work hard, acquire skills, keep improving, then there's virtually no limit to what you can achieve. And this is really important. Regardless of your race, your ethnicity, your gender, the opportunities for you to do really well are there today. There's a desperate shortage of skills in many areas. We're going to go through unprecedented change and innovation. Technology is going to change our lives in inconceivable ways right now. And that represents an opportunity for you if you're prepared to grasp it and you're prepared to keep learning new skills as you go through your career and life. I was asked to consider what's something important that people in year 10 should know, and I wish I'd known at the time. And I would like to share with you one really important secret, and it's so important I suggest you write it down. I suggest you take your pencil and paper and you write this down. And this is the important secret for people in year 10 and people at your age of life, and it's this: your success in life is determined more by your attitude than your ability. I'll say it again. Your success in life is determined more by your attitude than by your ability. We tend to look at great footballers or great singers, and they say they've got fantastic ability, that's why they're successful. And it's true. And you do need ability. You do need some skill. But certainly in business, in the world of work, you don't have to be incredibly clever or incredibly skillful to get to the top. But you do have to have the right attitude. And you can choose your attitude. You can't choose your ability. You can't choose your height, how tall you are, and things like that. But you can choose your attitude, and you can change your attitude. And there's a number of things we could talk for a while about the attitudes of successful people. But there are a couple of things I would point out to you. First of all, successful people take responsibility for their own lives. Up until now, you've been trying to please your parents, trying to do what your teachers have asked you, trying to conform to expectations that others have set. From now on in your life, the person who should be demanding high standards from you is you. You're the person that should take responsibility and for your own success. Your life is in your hands. And very often you'll meet people who are victims. They blame other people. They say, well, it's not my fault. My teachers didn't support, my parents didn't help, my friends, when I was discriminated against, I was unlucky. They're always blaming other people. Successful people don't blame others. They take responsibility. When things go wrong, they say, I screwed up, but I can learn from that. I can do better next time. And that's their attitude. Their attitude is a can-do attitude. The other thing about successful people, all successful people have enormous self-belief. They believe in themselves. And this is important because many teenagers don't have self-belief. They have low self-esteem. They think, I'm not that good. But what you have to do is you have to say to yourself, and I think you can say to yourself, try saying this: I'm someone special and I've got something to contribute. And if you can say that, I'm someone special and I've got something that I can contribute to the world, then you can build your self-belief on that. And from that self-belief comes a determination to do well. And the other thing successful people is, because take responsibility for themselves. Because they have high self-belief, they set very high standards for themselves. They demand more from them. They say, I've done well up to now, but I can do better. I can achieve more. I can get better grades. I can learn new skills. I can learn how to play the guitar. I can learn how to speak French. Whatever it is, they take responsibility and they set themselves high targets and they set themselves goals. And you should be setting yourself written goals now, things you want to achieve by the end of this year. By Christmas this year, what new things do you want to achieve? What grades do you want to get? What choices do you want to make? What progress? And so on. And as you go through life, you should set yourself goals. And that's what successful people do. So I could talk a lot more about how you build self-belief and how you build self-esteem. One way is, I recommend, is that you write your own book of successes. You make a list of all the things you've achieved in life so far. And if you start, you might be surprised at how many things are there. You know, things, prizes that you won, things that you did in the Scouts, things that you did at school, things that you did in a music exam, anything else that you, achievements that you've had. Just make a list of them. And then you can always go back to that and say, yeah, I've achieved things. I can do well. I'll say a word about the world of work. You're going to enter the world of work in a few years' time, and then you're going to leave it in maybe 50 years' time. And the changes you will see are inconceivable. Nobody knows what the world of work will look like in 10 years' time, 20 years' time, let alone 30 years' time. Even the smartest people on the planet don't know. But that chaos, that change represents opportunity for you. And I would just say this, girls do better than boys at GCSE. Girls do better than boys at A-level. Girls, or women by then, do better than men at degrees, leaving university. Men do better than women at the world of work, generally speaking. Men tend to get promoted, move up the ladder faster, and a lot of people give reasons for this. It's discrimination, it's all these things. But part of it is that the world of work is different from the world of school or the world of university. We're just working hard, studying, concentrating, doing a really good job on your studies counts. In the world of work, it's different. Work is, in business, is more like a game. And boys are good at games. Boys are competitive. Boys like the competition and the challenge and the risk. And to be successful in a career, you have to be prepared to take risks. You have to meet people. You have to get to know people. You have to use your network. You have to be seen and noticed. And all of these things are skills that you will have to learn as you go through life. It's not just about being a really great programmer or being a really great accountant or really a great data analyst or whatever you choose to do. That is the starting point. But to get promoted, you need more than that. You need people skills. You need networking skills. You need management skills and so on, things which you will acquire and learn. So that's something else I would say about work. The opportunity, even if you're not the best economist, you're not the best chemist, you're not the best mathematician, you can still succeed at work because the rules of work are different from the rules of school or university. And the other thing, pretty much the final thing I'd like to share with you is this, and I'd like you to write this down because it's really important and it's true. And it's a statement you can make about yourself. And I want you to write down these 6 words. I can start my own business. I can start my own business. Each of you can start your own business. And if you want to be really successful and make loads of money, which is one ambition, then starting your own business is one of the best ways to do it. And the opportunities for young people to start businesses are better than they've ever been before. If you go and study and you get skills, particularly skills in programming, in artificial intelligence, in robotics, any of these key areas where there's a desperate shortage, you can learn, you can join a company, you could start your own business in one of those fields before the age of 30. Most new businesses fail. You probably start a business, it will flop, start another business, it will flop. Either third or fourth go, you might become a millionaire. It's not just programming and software business. You could start a hairdresser, you could start a restaurant. There's lots of businesses you could start. Whatever field you're in, I want you to have in the back of your mind the possibility that one day you could start your own business. And I run my own business now, and it's very fulfilling. It's demanding, it's difficult, but the rewards are all there for you. So that's what I wanted to share with you, 1 or 2 thoughts. If you've got any questions, I'd like you to post them. I'd be very happy to answer them later. You can link with me on LinkedIn if you're on LinkedIn. My name is Paul Stone. If you're not on LinkedIn, you have to get there sooner rather than later, because it's the most important professional business networking site. Okay, thanks very much. Good, and I would like at this stage to wish you all good luck and great success going forward.
Thank you very much, Paul. Really interesting about your success factors, and I hope students you take that on board, what Paul's just shared with us. I'd like to introduce you to Truly, who is a HR director at an engineering company, sorry.
Am I on mute now? Yep, good.
Yep, all good.
So hello everyone, thank you very much for joining this event today, and I wish I'd heard somebody like you speak, Paul, because there's lots of things when I was at school that were very different to today, and I can totally agree with lots of things that you've said with regards to attitude. Elon Musk, I'm quite I'm intrigued by how he operates and where he's come from. And he hires people for attitude, not for ability. He says if you've got a passion for something and you've got the right attitude, you can achieve. And if you think about what he's done with SpaceX, he sold PayPal years ago. He's done a lot of successful things. So he hires for attitude. So totally, you absolutely agree with you there. And he himself has Asperger's, and that has actually given him a real advantage. So it doesn't matter what ability, what disabilities, what backgrounds you come from, you can achieve what you want to if you've got the ambition to do it. The other thing before I go into my slides is really around in terms of there's lots of stereotypes around, and there's a lot going on in the world of work at the moment to really try and prevent those stereotypes from continuing, and things such as, you know, how females and how males operate and how successful they are. There's not a glass ceiling actually anymore, because when you're keen, when you've got a passion for something, actually you can push through it if you've got the right attitude, and it really is as simple as that. You know, there are things such as if you're applying for a job, stereotypically, a man will see if there are gaps, he'll go, that doesn't matter, I could still do the majority of that. Whereas stereotypically, females go, oh, I can't do that one part of it, I better not apply. So there are differences in sort of innate stereotypes, but actually don't think what you can't do, think what you can do. And it's always that positive mindset. So there's a few slides here. I'm not going to go into great detail with these, but you'll be able to have these. I'm sure they'll be shared with you afterwards. But these are just pointers, really, so some practical pointers that you can think about. So are you able to move them on, or? Okay, yeah. So I work for a company called Costain, which is an engineering firm, and I'm actually seconded to SCS, which is a joint venture, which is looking at building part of High Speed 2 railway. So the anticipation of High Speed 2 that is controversial, but there are great opportunities in terms of employment here, and we're really trying to change the world of work, because we're trying to make sure that the industry isn't seen as sort of male, stale, you know, traditional, you know, spades in the ground, females can't be there. You know, we're really trying to break down the barriers of that, and that's something that we're passionate about. But it will open up economic opportunities across the whole of the country. That's the premise in basic terms of this project. Okay. Sorry, it's not moving forward. Are you able to move it on? Thank you. Okay, so there's simple things in terms of your CV. Obviously, there's just some simple stuff that you need to make sure that you get on your CV, your personal details, your profile, really the successes that you've had, because of course work history, etc., is not going to be there particularly, but you might have done things volunteering, you might have done Duke of Edinburgh, you might have done a number of different things. Just really make sure anything that you've got that shows your successes is on there. Okay. Only include name, address and contact details. Think about with your email addresses what it says about you, because it's nice to have these sort of funny email addresses, but when you're thinking about professional work, you need to come across in the right way. So just think about it. Gav Lamarche, great, sounds good, but actually you want to have something professional. So just think that through when you're setting up yourselves for work. Okay. You need to stand out. There's so many CVs and so many people coming through applying for roles that you just need to be able to stand out, and that is really key. That's why you need to put your successes on there. They should be short, succinct bullet points, but really make sure it's positive information you put down there. Anything, the profile can include your qualities and your skills, but really just think about those things that make you different to somebody else, because everyone has them. You might not think they're different, but talk with your friends. What are they putting on there? Oh, right, okay, well, actually, I've got this and that's different. So just make sure you do that. Okay. Then you want to make sure you stand out. So action words are really good because it shows you're a go-getter, you've got aspirations, you do things, you make things happen. I remember a CV years ago with somebody that had no work experience, but they demonstrated how they'd set up a street celebration for one of the weddings, probably Kate and William, I don't know who it was at the time, but they'd initiated that in their local community. So that's something that makes you stand out. You wanted that to happen, you did it, you communicated with people, organised it, etc. Shows lots of good skills. So those action words are going to help with that, and that's some examples there of what might you see in the CV. Okay. Yeah, so think about what describes you. That's fine. Sorry, it's a delayed one. Okay, make sure you check your spelling and grammar. I know people still say, oh, is that important anymore? Yes, it is, because when you've got 100 CVs and you're trying to work out which ones sort of come across in a better way, if you've got two that are almost identical, but one's got spelling mistakes and the other hasn't, then you're going to say, well, that person's maybe taken more time over that. So just try and make sure, get somebody else to check it if you're not sure, or if there's any, if you've got any disabilities, just get somebody else to check. Tailor your CV for the role you're applying for. So I really think, there are certain things where it talks about desirable characteristics, etc., that you just need to make sure that they know you're applying for that role. You're not just spamming everything. So make sure it's in time order, chronology. That's fine. That's important. Highlight your achievements. We've said lots already. And I think the others, yeah. Be concise. That's another one. You don't want to go into lots of pages. You probably wouldn't do at the moment anyway because of your experience potentially, but just keep it concise, because you don't want to keep going through lots and lots of CVs with 20 pages each. Make sure you don't have long wordy paragraphs. People that are shortlisting don't go through lots of that. They just want to pick out the highlight, the keywords. Don't write essays. That's not what a CV is about. Unusual fonts sometimes are hard to read, so just make sure it's really legible. Clip art and pictures, I wouldn't suggest you put that. You can put a picture of yourself if you want to, but you don't need to. And sometimes with unconscious bias, we're saying to people that the less information that actually sort of determines you know, who you are, the more opportunities. It shouldn't be that way, but it at the moment we just say, look, keep it limited. We actually in SCS blind our CVs, so we take out anything that could determine whether male, female, etc., just all of that, so it then just makes sure it's absolutely level playing field for everyone concerned. And don't lie on your CV. It does come out, and you know, part of the attitude and the ability to trust is a massive part of the world of work. So start as you mean to go on. Okay. So social media, yeah. So really just make sure you don't want unprofessional content being linked to your name. So just make sure you think about what you're putting out there. Make sure you lock down social media platforms. Don't open them up to the public, and think about what you're going to put on there. You know, if you had to say it in a room full of people, would you actually post it? Just think about those sort of things. So it's important to stay safe and keep your name clean in the world of social media. Okay. Yeah, so you can be proactive. There's nothing to say that at your age you shouldn't be putting things like blogs out there about things that really you're passionate about. You know, you can access free training. You know, make sure you use LinkedIn for that. There's lots of stuff out there that might help you. Also your network. I mean, Paul earlier mentioned he's on LinkedIn as well. So, you know, you can really start to build your network if you go there and start creating that. YouTube is great for learning, you know, TED Talks. If you haven't found that, that's a great place to find almost anything you could be thinking about. So use those things there. Business Balls is another one that I've not used recently, but there's loads of different free ideas of things that you can go into for ideas of things about world of work, training, etc. Now, I don't need to tell you really that you can research things in Google, but I would say before you go for an interview, research that company for sure. Make sure that you know what they do. Make sure you've got a bit of an idea of their finances and things, and it really shows that you are very proactive in what you know, that you're actually passionate about joining this company. And actually, if you don't like the sound of what you find out, then you know that as well, because an interview is as much about you wanting the job as them wanting you for the job. So don't forget that you've got power from your side as well. Share your goals and achievements. It's great to sort of share that information. So make sure you use that, and be positive and professional all the time, as we've mentioned a few times. Okay. So I don't know whether you've had this sort of thing before. I'm not going to go through all of this because it's something that's useful for you. You know, when you're about to go into an interview, this will be a good prompter to go back to and just check. But really, you need to make sure that you're really sort of proactively investigating the role you're going for, the company you're going for, maybe the competitors. It really shows that you've got that interest and that passion for what you're going forward for. That really makes you stand out. And interviews, quite often you've almost decided within the first 10 minutes of whether that person is a good fit or not. So, and normally one of the first questions is, what do you know about us? What do you know about the role? So that's really important that you do that. Okay. Yeah, so how to prepare. So perception is reality, unfortunately. So you need to make sure you think about what you're going to be wearing, you know, that you're clean and tidy. I've had some recent experience where we've had some apprentice roles that my team were interviewing for. And because it was COVID and lockdown, it was a virtual interview. And they were still in bed, still in their pajamas on more than one occasion. It's not a great start really, because you feel, do they really want this job? Are they interested? Would they get up for work on time if we need them to be in the office? You know, it's just sensible stuff really. Make sure when you're in there as well that you are engaged, listening to them, showing good positive body language and eye contact, etc. And just be confident. Confidence is really important. If you come across that you're timid, then people may think, oh, I'm not sure, would they be confident in the world of work? It's very difficult when, you know, it's early days and it's early in your career, and so people do make concessions for that. But if you've got a number of people and there's a more confident person stands out, then maybe that's the person you choose. So really try and work on that, even if you don't feel it inside. Just work on that. It's the swan technique. You look confident above, but your legs and your heart is going underneath. So just go for that. Okay. Yeah, so listening is quite important. So pay attention so that you do give the best response. Don't worry about saying, oh, can I just think about that for a time? That's absolutely fine. Ask questions around it just to clarify what it is they're asking. And sometimes, you know, I've been in interviews where I write down questions or I write down the question that they've asked me, and I just think about, okay, I've also gone in with a list of my successes or things that I've done and try and categorize it into different sections, whether it be like an organization thing, a leadership thing, or, you know, try and theme it. So go in there maybe and say, well, can I think about that? Oh yeah, this is a good example. And so you've got them ready there, because you're quite nervous normally in these events. So it just helps you to go forward in the most confident way and give your best answer. Okay. Yeah, so top tip. So if you're on a screen, post-it notes around the screen actually are quite useful. Have your CV to hand. You know, make sure your background's visible. Mine is a talking point normally when I'm at home, because I change it every month. Because when we were all virtual, people were getting quite down because they weren't going out. So I had lights and different things that set it up. So think about it. It has an impact in that person of how your background will be. Internet connection. I've had a real nightmare this morning, so I was slightly concerned I wasn't going to get on because I keep cutting out today. I'm not going to jinx it now. Other things, you know, make sure you breathe, show enthusiasm, and have water available, because, you know, you'll be talking a lot. You need to know that you can talk. Flexible working, that's a great one. The industry and the world has never moved forward so quickly. This would have taken years and years and years to get to this point. You've got real opportunity now to make work flexible. You can be dynamic working, hybrid working, all different terms we call it. But really, if that's important, you want to know what the company does, ask. It's not a problem. Make sure you've got some interview questions prepared, and just make sure that you've, as I said before, researched the company. I won't go through all of them. That's fine. Thank you. Okay, so a reminder, so have a positive and confident attitude, be smart, listen, show your enthusiasm, and do your research. So really come with examples ready of what you've actually done. Make sure you've got your questions ready for them, and do maintain eye contact, because that's very important. If you're not looking at people, you know, there's a tendency to either think somebody's not interested, or you're nervous, or you're not telling the truth. So try really hard to make eye contact. Don't arrive late. Don't put your mobile phone, you know, turn it off, turn it to silent, and don't ramble. Don't just try and fill a void. If you don't know, just say, look, I'm really struggling with that one. Can we come back to it later? Don't lie, and don't look bored. Please don't look bored, because, you know, it's really important that we think you're engaged. Okay. Thank you very much. If you need any questions or anything, obviously ask. I think at the end, would that be? Or okay. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you for your time today and going through that. It's really some insightful information for students to think about, how to make themselves more employable going forward. I'd like to introduce you to Dan, who will from Pfizer.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm very delighted to be able to speak to you all today. And before I go through my slides, I actually want to touch on a couple of things that Trudy and Paul have said in their past talks that I think are really important. So attitude over ability, going back to Paul, I think that's, you know, fundamental. And if you can really believe that and you can do anything you want, then that's hugely important. And part of that is being proactive. So I think, Trudy, you mentioned this in your talk. go out and get it. Don't wait and sit about. Be proactive and go and get what you want and do what you think's right. And the last one is just, if you can do those things, you can smash through stereotypes, no matter about race, gender, or religion. If you do those things, you'll really fly. So just I think I'm inspired by those 2 talks now, listening to them. So yeah, definitely a few takeaways. So on to me. Who am I? So yeah, as I said, my name's Dan Thomas, and I work for Pfizer. I thought it'd be useful, before I give you some of my top tips, to just talk about how I got to where I am, because it wasn't too long ago that I was in a similar position to you, and I can remember how I felt back then. So after doing my GCSEs, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do for a career at all. I knew I liked science, so I decided to do some science A-levels and also PE, because those are subjects that I was pretty interested in. And then when I got to A-levels, I started to think about, well, I kind of know I want to go to university, but I'm not really sure what I want to do. I liked chemistry as a subject, but I was sat there thinking, what can I do with a chemistry degree? I was just under the impression that I could become, in a lab or a chemistry teacher. But I got some good advice at school from a career advisor that said, look, if you do a science degree like chemistry, it's going to provide you with loads of analytical skills, problem solving skills, transferable skills that you can take into lots of different jobs. So that was really, really solid advice that definitely I'd encourage you guys to listen to. So I went on to the University of Bath to study for a chemistry degree. And when I was looking for universities, one thing that was really important was to go to a university that offered a placement. So this is the opportunity in your 3rd year of university to go and work for a company. So this might be based in a lab, or it could be more business focused. But you take time out of university and you immerse yourself in a company for a whole year. And this was really valuable because it introduced me to Pfizer. And I absolutely love Pfizer and the time I've spent here, but I'm really in debt to the year I spent while I was at uni, because it gave me experience in the working environment that I wouldn't have had otherwise, and it can give you that competitive advantage coming out of university compared to other candidates when going for jobs. So as I said, I love Pfizer. I wanted to stay, so I applied to do their graduate program while I was in my placement year, and then managed to successfully get that graduate program and returned back to university to finish my degree. And then once I finished my degree, I came back to Pfizer, and I've been here for the last 2 years doing various different roles, working in marketing within cancer, and also done some field-based sales roles, working on cardiology, and I've also worked in our UK training team. So that's a bit about me. I will go on to tell you my top tips, but also what's really important is work, definitely, but also life outside of work. And I think when you're going into interviews like Trudy's talking about, make sure you show your character, show who you are. Don't just talk about your experiences that are really work related. Tell them what interests you outside of work and what sort of person you are, and get your personality through in that conversation. For me, I'm a keen rugby player. I always have been. There's a picture of me on the right in a very, very muddy day back in February before the pandemic. Can't say it was my favorite game. It was pretty cold. And I also like to travel, and I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to do that again. I love skiing. I was gutted not to be able to go this year, so whenever I can, I'll be looking forward to going. And there's another picture of me out in Thailand a couple of years back as well. So if we flick onto the next slide, I'll go through some of my top tips, or what I wish I knew when I was in year 10. So I had to think about how I got to where I am today, and what I've done that I think was really useful, and perhaps things that I didn't know in year 10 that would have been really interesting or useful for me to know. So first thing is do your research. So okay, you're in year 10 now, so your next step is your A-levels, or what you go to study at college or an apprenticeship, and that's really important as your next step. But make sure you're thinking about the step beyond that as well. So if you are thinking about university, have a look about some university degrees or courses that might interest you, because you're going to need to know what A-levels you need to pick in order to get onto that university, the course, or same with any other similar things you want to do after your GCSEs. There will be qualifications and requirements that you need to meet. So just make sure you're clued up, because you don't want to get into a situation where you head to your A-levels, you've picked your A-levels, you find a university course or an apprenticeship that you really enjoy, but you haven't got, or you think you'd really like, but you haven't got the qualifications to do it. So just make sure you're thinking ahead, future-proofing yourself for what comes next. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2, now I think this one's really important, is work experience. Now, work experience is important for a huge number of reasons. Number one, I think it will give you an opportunity to get insight into what sort of roles are out there and what sort of industries are out there. You might find roles in industries that you love and you think this is definitely somewhere I could work. Then you also might find roles in industries where you think this isn't for me. And it's a good way of, you know, finding out what you do and don't like within the world of work. Also, the reason work experience is really important because it gives you experience. You know, it takes you from what you learn at school and adds that by adding a level, you know, in a business environment. So, you know, whether that's doing 2 weeks of work experience while you're at school, or perhaps doing a summer placement while you're at university, or doing an apprenticeship, or even doing a full placement year like I did, it will provide you with some really key skills such as working within a team, communication skills, being accountable for delivering on projects that will make you really employable in the future. And, you know, I think I see with my friends who've been to university or in similar positions, those who either have been on an apprenticeship scheme and have been working, or did a placement or a summer internship at university, are much more employable when they come out of university than perhaps some of their equivalents because of that work experience. And my last one, I think this is really important, is don't worry so much if you don't know what you want to do for your career. You know, when I was in year 10, I didn't know what I wanted to do at all. And even now, sat here, I'm not sure what my next role is going to be in 3 years or 5 years. I don't know. So, you know, you will have some people that will know exactly what they want to do for their career and have it all mapped out, and that's also completely fine. But if you're sat there not knowing what you want to do, just do your research, have a little look about, think about things that might interest you. And also, one thing I'd really encourage you to do is, you know, if you've got subjects that you really like and enjoy, then focus on those and see what you can do with those, because if you enjoy something, you can be way more applied and way more interested than doing something you don't. Yeah, I think if I look back on, I've got these 3 up on here, the don't worry one was something I wish people would have told me more often when I was in year 10. So I just wanted to give you that encouragement and reassurance that it's okay. That's it for me. So we can hand over to questions. I think is next.
Thank you very much, Dan, for that talk and interesting ways of getting that industry placement, actually. So something actually I wanted, I didn't find out until quite late into my university course about these sandwich courses that are available. So that's actually really good insight to see actually how useful they are potentially, if that's something what students want to do. So thank you very much, Dan. And so we'll go on to questions now. We've got a few what have come in, and please use the Q&A chat to ask any questions you'd like. So the first one coming is, what would make a CV stand out? And I think that might be Trudy, might be the best one to start with.
Yeah, so for me, it's just really making sure that those achievements that you've got really stand out by demonstrating that you are proactive. So quite often ones that I think, you know, that when I'm going through CVs, things are, you know, how you may have been in the Scouts or the Guides or whatever other different groups that are quite disciplined, that show, you know, there's things like you know, as you move up through the Scouts and the Guides, you have different levels, don't you, where you have to then look after other groups, and so something like that would make you stand out. If you've volunteered for different things, especially if it's volunteering that's linked to whatever industry you're trying to get into. So I don't know, if you're really keen on I don't know, working in a charity or something, maybe some homeless charity as an example, if you're able to demonstrate you've done some volunteering for different things, that would make you stand out more than the others. Duke of Edinburgh is something that quite often, you know, makes people stand out. Anything that is around you've achieved certain things, maybe in sport, it shows your commitment to something, your determination, and you're achieving it. You know, music, a similar thing, you've probably got your grades and things, so things like that can make you stand out. Any work experience at all that you've got, which I know is difficult because of the age, but anything like that, just demonstrating proactiveness and assertiveness is good, and working with others, anything that shows that team morale, that they're the things that will make you stand out at this age. And obviously, you know, just having a clear, easy to read CV will be great as well, but that won't be the only thing. It's the content as well. Hope that helps.
Thank you very much, Judy, for that. Anyone else on the panel wanted to add to that?
No.
That's perfect. So the next one we've got is, what's the best way to start networking? And I thought I'll start with you, Paul, because I know you mentioned it during your talk.
Yeah, this is something that's really important that they don't teach you at school. But there's an old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And there's a large element of truth in this. So, and you might say it's not fair, Paul. It should be based on ability. It shouldn't be based on who you know. But connections and who you know are really useful. And you're going to reach a stage in life soon where the fact that your parents have friends who can help you get an internship or a summer job is going to be really useful. Those boring old people who you never wanted to meet might actually be useful to you. And as you go through life, you need to build up connections and build your email list, build your contacts list of people that can help you and people you can help. It's a mutual thing. You help others and they help you. And you need a large number of connections. And the way you start doing this with all your school friends, you keep in touch with them. After you leave school, when you go, it's easy to lose touch with your old friends. And at university or college or apprenticeship, wherever you work next, you will meet a lot of people. You need to stay in touch with each of them, keep their email addresses, link with them on LinkedIn. So you should be starting a LinkedIn profile pretty soon if you haven't done already. You may be on Facebook, you may be on Twitter, you may be on Instagram. Those are fine for social media, but the #1 social media platform for business networking is LinkedIn, without question. It may change in the future, but right now that's the case. And you have to be on it. And you have to have a good photo on there, a headshot, head and shoulders, which looks friendly and professional, not an idiotic one as some people do. And then you need a simple profile similar to your CV with your skills and achievements. And off you go. Then you link with people. I've got 7,000 first level connections on LinkedIn, which is a very large number, but that means I've got a huge number of second level connections because I can connect with anybody who knows any of my first level connections. And that can be very useful if I want to find a contact in Pfizer, or I want to find a contact in Waitrose or Spencer or anywhere else. I can find those people very easily through LinkedIn, and they are connections of my connections. And that's the way it works. So it'll take you a while to get used to this, but you should start building up your network right now and then continue to build it through the rest of your life.
Thank you, Paul, for that. Has anyone else on the panel would like to add to that?
Just a quick one from me is that networking is a skill, most definitely. So, you know, there will be lots of online courses, YouTube, TED Talks around networking. So go and check them out as well.
And Trudy, anything else?
I was just going to say, yeah, LinkedIn, totally agree that that's the #1 place. Plus, there's loads of vacancies that they put on LinkedIn, so you can request to link with people you don't even know, and they might connect with you, which will build it up as well.
Thank you for that. We've got 2 more questions. How do you gain work experience opportunities? I thought I'd start with you, Trudy.
Yes, so there's a number of ways. At the moment, there's lots of importance being put on placements that may be like 12-week placements, 8-week placements, and there's a lot of encouragement with that. And I would say if you've got certain companies that you're keen to work with, if you've got a certain area that you want to get into, just contact those companies and see if they're doing any placements. They might do summer placements, they might do work experience. As in, you know, a sort of traditional 2-week work experience, but there'll be lots of opportunities that you would be able to do that. So look for the companies that you're interested in, and just start to sort of knock on the door or the virtual door, and just say, look, you know, I'm really keen, I want to get some experience. And in a callous way, lots of companies are actually being measured on, you know, having those sorts of things, placements. I know High Speed too, because it's a government funded organisation. We have targets that we have to meet to get skills, education and employment. And one of those is placements. So, you know, there's a lot of interest in having that. So look at, you know, the companies you're keen on, the types of roles that you want to do, who has them, and start knocking on the door and finding out what they could do and when.
Thank you, Judy. Dan, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think I completely agree with Trudy. I would just say it comes back to what we spoke about. Be proactive. Don't wait for work experience to come to you. Go out and seek it. Think about the companies you'd be interested in, the industries, and reach out to them. I'm sure they'll be willing to take you on.
Thank you for that. To end the session, I just wanted to get your last view and actually just your final words on actually anything, words of advice to for students listening today. And start off, Dan.
So I just get your key takeaways away from what you've heard today. There's been a lot of information, but a couple of key points. You know, if it's just going away and setting up your LinkedIn account, or you've written down attitude over ability, and be proactive. Have your key takeaways from this and make sure you take them forward.
Thank you, Trudy.
So for me, it's try and think about what your passions in life are. What do you really enjoy doing? Even, you know, it's not a task, it's not a chore. It's actually what you're passionate about, and find the job that uses that passion and then go and get it. Be proactive, be bold, and keep knocking on doors, because actually that is the best method, because that shows how determined you are to get into that industry in that area. So try and find what your passion is and work out the job that fits it.
Thank you, Judy. And Paul.
Yeah, there's been loads of good stuff here. I hope you've made lots of notes, and I hope you've decided on some actions and choices you're going to make. You know, if you look around your schoolmates, if you have a reunion in 20 years' time, 25 years' time, some of you will have been enormously successful in whatever fields you've chosen, and some of you won't. Some of you will be turn out to be drug addicts or in prison or something, maybe. But the difference between the ones who are really successful and the ones who are unsuccessful are the choices that you make, and the choices that you make going forward to do A-levels, whether to go to university, whether to work hard, whether to try what jobs to take, when to move on from one job. And you're in charge of those choices. It's up to you, and you can choose to be successful. And that's my message to you today.
Thank you very much, Paul. And thank you, rest of the panel with Trudy and Dan as well, giving up your time to support this event and talk. I'd just like to also note to students, we do have lots of career videos and resources on our website, thestemhub.org.uk. Also, you can ask any questions you want to the STEM ambassadors using askanambassador@canterbury.ac.uk. Again, just want to say one more thank you to everyone who's attended today, and thank you to our speakers, and I hope you all have a great day.